Good morning, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest opposition preview show. Hopefully, this will be the penultimate opposition preview show of the season. Fingers crossed. After an impressive 3-0 win up at Blackburn, this is the big one. We are now at home against Nottingham Forest. If we win, we're up. If we draw, it goes to the last game. Let's not even contemplate a defeat. Before I welcome on my special guest, here's a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, my special guest today is a Forest fan. He did make some waves recently as well, and is a singer by releasing Mola Kintyre on Twitter. It is a pleasure to welcome onto the show Matt Shephardson. Good morning, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Just it's been a nice, relaxing bank holiday. Nice, obviously a nice win for us on Saturday, and it's just a small matter of a little game that we've got on Tuesday that the nerves already started a little bit, but.
Same here, to be honest. I had to take myself off to Longleat to actually try and calm the nerves, so to speak. But
that's a very unique place for doing that. I've never heard of that as a kind of a place to go to relax on a bank holiday week.
Especially when you're driving through the line enclosure and you're thinking, is the car going to actually manage to get around it all right? But this game is massive for both clubs, isn't it, Matt? 23 years.
Yeah, it's obviously for ourselves. It's just been how the season started. I mean, it's just we were very much, if we stay up, it's going to be a massive achievement because it was just so poor. And I think when you look at the stats for teams that have started the season and where we were in September, I think the highest anybody's finished to be in that position in September is 14th. So to be where we are, it's been nothing short of remarkable. And for me, I was always very much, anything that happens is a bonus. But then obviously, the better you do, the expectations start to rise, and then it's just the fact that we've got it in our own hands, and it's all coming down to Tuesday night. Let's be honest, that's what everything hinges on. It's just been remarkable. But yeah, I've not felt this level of kind of anticipation about a game for, I can't remember the last time, probably when we were in the playoffs under Paul Hart, really, because obviously that was the getting into the Premier League was on the line. So that weight of expectation and possibilities, it just starts to get to you a bit. And I try not to get too carried away, but I think it's a bit impossible.
And it's been some journey. I went to university up in Nottingham, and that coincided with Nottingham Forest dropping into League One. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster, really, hasn't it? But this season, it's looking very, very promising. Even if you did miss out, surely you've got to be confident that you get through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think my only concern is with that is because we've got so much momentum that I don't know how it works, but there's always, well, sort of statistically, but the teams that kind of come into the playoffs or hit a bit of form late tend to do the best, don't they? And the only thing that worries would missing out on the automatics, because it's in our grasp now, deflate the squad. But I don't think it would. I think because the mentalities, I've never seen such strong mentality from a Forest squad for as long as I can remember. It's, you know, going back a very long time, and Cooper just seems to be exceptional at getting them in the right frame of mind. These games, I can remember, you know, a few seasons ago when we had Lamouchi and we had a relatively decent run, and we were doing quite well for quite a long time, and it just faded away. Even when we were doing quite well, you always kind of felt, I don't know, there's something, you always got a bit of a fear that we might come unstuck, and we did. And if anybody scored first, it was always a bit like, we might not get anything out of this game. But we can go a goal behind with Cooper and you're not nervous. You just know that he knows what changes to make to turn it around. So that's the difference, really. So I think tactically he's really astute. So I think that will hold us in good stead. So I think any team over 2 legs, I would fancy our chances. But obviously the playoff final, so it's a bit of a lottery, isn't it? But I do, yeah, I'd still be confident. I would still be confident. There's that little concern that we might lose that bounce, but you know, probably not. I think I'm going to past experiences too much of being burnt with Forest.
Well, looking back to that game, back on the 14th of August, we won 2-1 at the City Ground, and of course, it was a completely different Forest side to what we have now. You know, a lot of the players are the same. However, Chris Hughton wasn't getting the best out of them, and we were down to 10 men as well.
Yeah. No, I remember it, and I mean that's been the crazy thing, really. It is essentially the same core of players. Now, obviously, we've added to that, and we've been very fortunate to get somebody from yourselves who's made a massive difference. But it was just the style of football. I mean, there were some players that a lot of supporters, myself included, were kind of like, I don't think we're going to get anything out of him this season. I think he's done, you know. And just to see the change in how they play. I mean, I'll probably get slated for this, but Garner at the start of the season, he didn't look like the same player, and we were like, "What's gone off here?" Like, and he was, but since Cooper's come in, he's just been absolutely exceptional. So it really has been incredible, just the way we play. I mean, with Hughton, I mean, he's a very nice man, and I think he still gets a lot of unfair stick, but I think he just comes from, I think, that style of coaching, that style of management, and I think you've seen it with a few other managers now who have kind of left the game. You know, your McCarthy's and even Warnock's gone. I just think now that time is, perhaps just their time's passed and the game has changed. But yeah, just the way we play, everything was backward passing under Hughton. It was all about protecting, not conceding and hoping to get one. But when you're not getting one, it's not the best way to play. And it was dreadful. It didn't work. Like I say, he's a nice chap, nothing against him, but it just didn't work. So for Cooper to come in and do what he's done in such a short space of time, I mean, he drew his first game, and then we went away to Barnsley, and I went to that game, and we won 3-1. And it was that's just seemed to be the start of it, really. It was just, we played really well. I mean, Barnsley weren't a fantastic side, but neither were we at that point. So, but I think for me, I know the difference I noticed with him was that in the second, at half time, he took off a defender and he brought on, I can't remember if he brought another midfielder or he might have been an attacker. I can't remember, but just that we were 1-0 down. So to do that, quite a bold statement at half time. We're like, oh, right, okay. And it worked. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's just been, it has been crazy. And the level of confidence in the side and just the general feeling around the club. I think obviously if you follow the Championship, you're aware of our history and how it's gone and our problems with owners, and we were just progressively getting worse. And then when the Marinakis took over, things were better, and obviously with Lamouchi. But I think it's off the field as well. We've really changed things. We've brought in a new director of football, so we brought in Dave Murphy, who's been exceptional. We've brought in like really good analysts and things like that, and they've you can tell there's a conscious effort to reconnect with the fans. And there's also been a lot of supporters networks, and like Forza Garibaldi do a great job of just bridging that gap between the club and the supporters, and it's really worked. It has really worked. It sounds a little bit cliche, but it has. And when you go to a game now, I've not felt that before for a very, very long time. So it's kind of, I think obviously getting things right off the field was a big step, and getting the club in order, and obviously then I think it tends to follow, doesn't it, on the pitch?
Yeah.
So that's definitely happened.
And let's mention that player that we sold to you. Somebody I know very well. Somebody I was gutted to leave. They were saying that he was going to QPR originally. Then it all changed to Forest. Eventually, he ended up joining you, Steve Cook. What has he been like?
He's been fantastic. He's obviously a very, very good defender, but the thing I noticed about him when I've been to watch is just his level of organisation. And I know he's not the captain, but he's like having another captain on the pitch. He's a leader, just a natural leader, leads by example. I mean, he was out injured, and we thought, a few of us wasn't sure if we'd see him again this season. And then the game he came back in, he was man of the match on TV, and he's just phenomenal. He's a great player, really, really good player, and he's a very likeable bloke. I mean, he sat in the stands for the game at Luton, I think, and he makes an effort to go around. And when he was out injured, he was going around and getting his photograph with kids and signing autographs. And he's been a very, very welcome addition to the club on and off the pitch. And he's, I think, if he'd joined at the start of the season, he'd be a lot of people would be talking about him as our player of the season. But he's really slotted in well with McKenna. He's another exceptional player, and of course Joe Worrell. So the three at the back that we play, or we tend to prefer to play unless we have to switch to a four. He's just been exceptional. Yeah, he's a very, very solid pro. Obviously looks after himself, but he just reads the game exceptionally well. He's just a very, very good player.
None of that actually surprises me at all, because just before he left the club to join yourselves, there was a game against Fulham, and he probably knew at that point that he wasn't going to be at the club anymore. And he threw himself in front of the ball. To be honest, he was the reason we got that point. Could you see him potentially coming back to haunt us? And it's been a nightmare. And I've mentioned it a couple of times on this channel. The nightmare scenario is him grabbing one. Yeah, 95th minute.
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? And it's kind of stars, but yeah, he's got that in him to do. He can score goals. He's a threat at corners. So I must admit, for myself, I wouldn't be sorry to see that, but I imagine it'd be a hard one to take. But yeah, he will get a good reception from you guys, I take it, will he?
Yeah, he would do. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I'd be really disappointed if he didn't.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear. I thought so. You just look at his level of service and what he's done there, but I wasn't kind of sure on the terms that he left. But yeah, he just seems like a very nice bloke, solid guy, and a very good footballer.
I think, to be honest, more of the frustration has to be towards Scott Parker, because he wasn't picked. Okay, yes, he got an injury in that playoff semi-final against Brentford last season, but at the same time, once he got back to full fitness, it seemed like he was just cast out in the cold. And by his own words as well, in the interview that I did with him, he turned around and he said, I've missed 20 games throughout my spell here since Eddie took over, and he missed 20 games this season. And it was just a waste of what is a really, really solid defender, somebody who knows, somebody who's organised, the captain of the club, really. And I was gutted to see him go. And to be honest, I didn't see this scenario coming out, but I could see how well he was going to do for another club. And I thought, well, he's gone to Forest, good club. We're in a situation now where it could really come back to haunt us. And the game that is going around in my memory is the Newcastle game, where he headed it last minute, and that's where the nightmare, I think, stems from.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just I completely understand it, and we've had it with ex-players, and it's the worst thing, really, isn't it? But I mean, I think I'd be right to say he's a bit of a club legend for you.
He is, yeah.
It would be, that's a bitter one to swallow, isn't it? But yeah, it'd be interesting. But he's been fantastic. But I think from what you've said, Parker's obviously thought he's not the type of player for this team, but I find it difficult to. I find that difficult to see. I mean, and it's just the. It's not just on the pitch with players like that, is it? It's in training and things like that, and the fact that they can have on the younger players. And we've got it a bit with Grabban, where he has been out injured and he's kind of come back in and out of the side because he's struggled with injuries. But I know that he's still been around the place working with the other strikers, and I kind of think Cook is the kind of player that I can imagine doing that as well, to help bring them on. So it's not just on the pitch, is it?
No, and I think his influence around this club was felt. Even when he wasn't being selected, he was still there. He was still there doing charitable things as well, involving himself with the fans. Like I say, he come on here, which he didn't need to do. He didn't need to do, but he wanted to give his side of the story as well. He was very coy on what his future was at that point. But I think you could feel that there was a sense of hurt that he's done everything, and he was such an instrumental part of that team that dragged us from League One all the way to the Premier League, and was relegated in such unfortunate circumstances, and works his socks off to get us back there.
And they would have been other clubs in for him at that point, no doubt. When he's just been relegated, so he's obviously made the conscious decision to stay and help, hasn't he? Because he likes it there. So
at one point, I wondered why he wasn't selected for the England side.
Yeah, well, you look at some of the current players in the England side. I know they play a little bit better for England, but you look at for England, but look at how some of our centre backs play for their clubs, and you kind of think, but.
Yeah. Another player that also used to play for us. He did join yourselves on the route from Stoke City as well. Is a certain Sam Surridge, who, let's be fair, without his 3 goals at the weekend, this could have been looking like a lot more fruitful position, couldn't it, for us?
It could. Again, another one that when we signed him, there were a lot of people like, "Oh, okay, that's an interesting one," because they're looking at his record, and it wasn't a small fee. I think we paid for him. It was $2.5 million or something like that, I think. But Cooper's obviously worked with him before. Obviously knows him very, very well. And he on his first game, he had quite a good chance, and he didn't take it too well. And Cooper said after, it's his first. He's not played for a bit. It's his first game in, and he's a really good finisher, and he's got to prove that. Some of his finishes has been exceptional, but he works ridiculously hard for the ball. Really chases things down, makes things happen. Very, very good positionally. Again, another one who just seems to have a very, very good football brain. Reads the game very, very well. And he's just a natural finisher, and he's a bit of a poacher as well, I think, as he proved on Saturday with some of his goals. But again, another one that's just slotted into the club and how we play and kind of the ethos around the team at the moment. He just seems to be very, very popular with the fans. When you putting it in the back of the net, it's not a surprise, but he's done very, very well. Very, very good player, and he's only 23, which surprised me. I thought he was a bit older than that when we got him. So again, another one that, I think you'll be keeping close tabs on him on Tuesday night.
To be honest, he didn't set the world alight here. However, he showed some glimpses of what he was all about, and I think he is. And just casting our mind back to who our manager was, who brought the players in. Eddie Howe, of course, he's got a particular player that he liked. What sort of influence do you think he has on both Sam and Steve Cook?
I I don't know really. It's difficult to say because obviously with Eddie, he plays in a very specific way, doesn't he? He likes it on the floor. He
Yeah.
likes it, but that's not too dissimilar how we play. I know we're probably perhaps a little bit more counter-attacking. I don't know, but it surprises me that it kind of didn't flourish. But it can just depend, can't it? It's how it. If you're not, you need the right breaks. I mean, for Sam, it's been we lost Keenan Davis, got injured, so he's been, and with Lewis Graben's out, so he's been given the role, and he's just taking it as an opportunity rather than I think in the past would be really disappointed with the fact that we've lost a striker and we'd all be a bit more pessimistic. But with this team, I think it's the players in the squad. They just see it as an opportunity. It's not really. I don't think the atmosphere or the feeling around the team is that we're going out with a weaker side. We're adapting and really going in with that. That's again that mentality. So I think, but yeah, it's difficult to say, isn't it? You don't know what the mentality was, and he's a little bit younger then, and he's probably learned from his experiences. I know we were getting a lot of stick off Stoke fans when we signed him. We're not anymore.
No.
But yeah, he's just been an excellent player, really good. But both of them have. So we've been your loss has definitely been our gain, 100%.
And of course, you have got other fantastic players in the squad. No other than Brennan Johnson, who has been a revelation this season. Isn't he the son of David Johnson, who used to play for the club?
Yeah, he's indeed. Yeah, his dad's obviously was a very, very good player for us, scored a lot of goals. I was sat next to him actually away at Cardiff when we lost. So, but yeah, his dad goes to all the games. He sits in the stands with the fans. He's a great guy. But Brennan's just been. He was on loan at Lincoln. I've got obviously where I live in Newark, so it's not too far from Lincoln. I know a lot of Lincoln fans, and they were really saying what a fantastic player he was. But again, under Houghton, he was a little bit okay. Is he going to be that good, or as good as we thought he was going to be? But again, he's just excelled. He's frightening pace. He can be quiet in a game for half an hour or so, and then he'll just get a chance and bury it. He's got that natural. He's very, very clinical, excellent finisher. But he's also coming up with some really, really good assists as well. I mean, for the Surridge goal at Peterborough last week, a wonderful cross to the back post, and Surridge nodded it in. But he's an exceptional player, and I think if we don't go up, I think we'll be very, very lucky to keep hold of him. I think we'll be lucky to keep hold of him anyway. I think there's going to be a lot of teams in for him. But yeah, certainly if we don't go up, I don't think he's going to be at the club. But he's got his own ambitions. He's an excellent player. He should be playing at that high level. If you're scoring goals like he is, then you're going to want to play at the highest level, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, the most recent defeat come at Luton. To be honest, it's very easy to find the defeats because there's not many of them recently. But Luton, I believe, were down to 10 men as well. What was the story of that game?
It was not the best game to watch. It was very stop-start. They were very aggressive. They got their tactics spot on. I have to say, they played the right way to beat us. We were very unlucky. We had a goal disallowed that should have, by the letter of the law, should have been a goal. It was Jed Spence scored, but it was given as offside. But their player touched it. He played it back to the keeper, which apparently I didn't know this, but you listen to the laws change that now. But because he played it back, it then becomes active again. He'd made a conscious effort to pass it, and he put it in the net, but it was ruled out. So the linesman wasn't aware of that rule change either, I don't think. But so it's disappointing, but it's a tough place to go, isn't it? And it was a Saturday midday kickoff, a blistering hot day. We didn't play too bad. We didn't play too bad at all, but they just got it right. We had the chances, and it was just one of those, really. Then they're a difficult side. I'd fancy us against them over two legs, I think. But yeah, their away leg's always going to be tough. But I think we felt a little bit unlucky to come away without anything. But we did get the bounce that when we lose, we do tend to get that bounce, and we come back quite well. So maybe it's what might have been what we needed just to give us that bit of a rocket for this last part of the season. Obviously, if we had the 3 points and we kept on the run that we're on, it would be a little bit different now. But yeah, it's easy to say that, isn't it?
Let's cast our minds back as well to last Tuesday. So we was playing Swansea. I thought that it was going to be a case of Fulham were going to try and tie up the title. And when you looked at it, that late goal that we scored against them the Saturday before, I thought, well, that's great. They're going to be all out for Forest now. And it just didn't happen, did it?
No, I think they tried to be. I think I noticed straight away we were trying to break really quick, a lot of quick balls over the top, and we were catching them. We did play very, very well. I know they were complaining about the goal, but they were saying it was a foul in the build-up. But then they still had a chance to sort it out and completely messed it up in defence. But I thought we were good for it. I know sometimes a 1-0 away is a bit of a, so you can look at it as being a bit fortunate, or you need to be a bit fortunate. But I thought we deserved it. I thought we played really, really well. And again, Cooper just got the tactics absolutely spot on. We managed to keep Mitrovic relatively quiet, Cook and McKenna between them, and Worrell, and it's not an easy task. And Samba was exceptional in goal, but it was obviously a very, very good result. And I was obviously keeping up to date with your result. I was thinking, this is good. I saw one go in, you got one back, and it's like, because Swansea do concede. Then the second one went in, and I must admit, I was like, they're going to get another. And it happened. But yeah, that's football for you, isn't it?
And well, you scored 5 against Swansea as well. So, like you say, they do leak goals, but we should never have put ourselves in that position. Do you think if Scott Parker goes for it like he did against Blackburn, will that play into Forest's hands, or will that be a case that? How do you think Cooper's going to play this game?
Cooper will play it his usual way, I think. They'll have done an awful lot of work. They'll pick the tactics dependent on it. They'll stick the same formation, but the tactics it'll be interesting to see. But I think if if you were to come out and really go for it, I do think we'd catch you. I think it's going to be quite tight and tense, personally. I think it's two very, very good sides at the end of the day, isn't it? You're not in the position. I know your form's dropped off, but you've not lost many. You've drawn quite a few, but you've not actually lost many. You don't concede that many goals, so I can see it being quite tense. It will be very, very interesting to see. I think that within the opening 10 minutes, you'll be able to judge what kind of game it's going to be. But I think it will be. I know there's a lot of fans going. Unfortunately, I can't go because of work commitments. But I know we always sort of sell our allocation. I know it will be an exceptional atmosphere, which will add to the game hopefully. But it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tight one. I really do. Do you think he's going to go for it then, or do you think he's going to be a bit more conservative?
I'll be honest. For this game, I haven't a clue. I think the more conservative approach hasn't worked. And I think that's where we've got caught, and where we've got caught in the second half against Reading, for example, against Peterborough. Also, when you look at the first half against Swansea, I think he tried to keep them at bay, knew Piero was a good player, and it just didn't work. And when he took the shackles off, then it was a completely different team. Even at the weekend against Blackburn, when he took off Aiden Anthony and put on Shariki Dembele, who's a fantastic signing from Peterborough, we went for it, and it really opened the floodgates. I just don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's got to get it right, because from minute one, if we don't, you'll score and shut up shop, and we know how good Steve Cook is.
And you don't want to be chasing the game against the way we play, or any side that plays like we can play, quite quick on the break. But yeah, I mean, there's I see a lot of the nonsense that you see on Twitter about some fans thinking that we're going to go down there and batter you. I just don't think any Forest fan who knows his football or has been following the football thinks that. I think it's, we know we're going up against a very, very good side. You've got some exceptional players, so it's going to be. I'm nervous about it. I don't normally get nervous about football anymore. When you've been following Forest over the past 15 years, you kind of get immune to it. But it's so much riding on it, and I am a bit apprehensive about it. But again, I think for ourselves, when we take stock of the season, we've done exceptionally well to get in this position. So we should just enjoy it. But it's not as easy as that, is it?
No, it's not. And at this point in time, I'm really, really nervous. I'm thinking we've been up there all season, and that we're facing the team that, really we should have played you back in February. Of course, that game was rained off. Would I have rather played you then? I think, I probably would have, to be honest. But
well, obviously, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that, but I think it was just. I think the way it was done was a bit poor, but I think obviously we shouldn't have even travelled down, and the weather was terrible and everything like that. But I've heard a lot of people say that we should play this then rather than have to play it.
Yeah, this is a great scenario for the neutral, isn't it? But for absolutely. Us, I'm brooking it.
And the EFL and Sky must be absolutely loving this, but we're the ones that have got to endure it. But yeah, I mean, it's two good clubs. I think I have to say. I mean, it's two nice. Nice, is that the right word? But it's two good football clubs. So hopefully, when it's all said and done, we can. I've enjoyed it, but I just hope it's not. There's no. I've named the referee yet, because that's always one that when you see that it's some name. But I think as long as I'd hate it to be decided on some really daft call or some decision that's gone wrong. That would really be a shame when there's so much on the line. But these things happen all the time, don't they? But yeah.
I think for this game, they've got to have a referee in place, because it would be harsh on either side. The thing is if we go up, I want to be able to say that we've beaten a Forest team fairly, not by some dodgy penalty decision. And I'm sure vice versa as well.
100%. Yeah.
So
you take it, wouldn't you? Let's be honest. But it's not how you want to do it. It's you want to do it the right way. And people say that these things even themselves out, but still not the way you want to be doing it at this stage of the season.
No, most definitely not. Just quickly before we go, and there is one more question right at the end. You sang a song as well about Forest, which is on your Twitter account as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was. So I'm actually a singer as well. So in my spare time, I go out and I play the guitar. So it was just random one Saturday morning. I thought I'll have a go at recording Mull of Kintyre before we played, and put it out on Twitter, and it went a bit mad. Really, it was. I'm not going to go as far as to say it went viral, because I don't think I'm. It was that crazy, but because it's obviously we sing it before the start of every game and when we kick off for the second half. But it got picked up by quite a few people, and there's a supportive foundation. It's not really a support club; it's more of a movement called Forza Garibaldi, who I've mentioned, and they picked it up and asked me to sing at their Christmas party. So I went there with my guitar and sang it, and it was brilliant. As a result of doing that, I made a lot more friends and at Forest, and got to know quite a lot of people that I wouldn't have normally. And it was literally just from an impromptu. I'm gonna record a quick version of Mull of Kintyre on my guitar, and so yeah, it's funny how these little things happen, but it's been great. Yeah.
Well, for everybody now, I'm going to play it.
City ground, oh mist rolling in from the Trent. My desire is always to be, oh city ground. far have I traveled? Much have I seen. Good is sun and field, the places I've been. Main Road, Old Trafford, still echo the sounds of the boys in the red from the city ground. City ground, oh mist rolling in from the Trent. My desire is always to be here, oh city ground. City ground, oh mist rolling in from the Trent. My desire is always to be here, oh city ground.
And final question then, Matt. You know what I'm going to ask. How is this going to go?
I hate doing predictions because
Same here.
back on you. But I don't know. I think I'm going to have to say we're going to win. I've got to, haven't I? I think it'll be similar to the result at Fulham. I think we might get one, and then I think we'll be under a lot of pressure. But I'd obviously like to see us come away with the 3 points.
I'm going to go, to be honest, I want it done on Tuesday night because it'll be something special. Considering that you've chased so hard, it'll be great to have it done. Is it going to be done Tuesday night? I question. I think that we might be able to hold you to a draw, and then it all relies on that last game, which personally, I think you will smash Hull. I think you will absolutely smash Hull. Can we beat Millwall? To be honest, it'd probably be best for both of us, wouldn't it, if we knew which way it was going.
Are you at home against Millwall?
We are, yeah.
Yeah. I'll say if it was, that will that's a tough side to play against, I guess, regardless. But I think the fact you've got them at home, I could see you beating them, but it's probably a bit tougher than the game we've got. But last games of the season are always a bit awkward, and if you're playing against a team that's not got anything to play for, it can be tough because they've got no pressure on them, and they can be strange games. But yeah, I'd like to think we'd beat Hull comfortably. I really would. But there's going to be another twist or turn. It's this great this season's gone, isn't it? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's you never know in the Championship, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can do this again next year because I'm sure 23 years you're chomping at the bit to get back in the Premier League. You need to get back there.
It's been far too long. It's been far too long, and I was very fortunate that when I was born in '82, so I started going to Forest when I was probably 8, 9, and we felt like we were going to Wembley, every year, and for whatever cups were about then. We won some bizarre ones, Zenith data systems and things like that. But we were just a good side, and then obviously it all kind of fell apart. And we got ourselves back in, but it's just we've found it really, really hard since dropping back in to get anywhere near getting out. We've been close, but yeah, and then it just fell away really, and just it's been tough. And it's such a competitive division, the Championship. You can just see from the results from one week to the next, anybody can genuinely beat anybody. So it's such a tough division. So yeah, it would be fantastic. It really would. It would really put the shine on just a really great season that started so poorly. But yeah, let's see. Let's see.
I wonder what Brian Clough will be saying up there because let's be honest, you would have watched some of the years when he was in charge. What was he like just to watch? His teams.
Brian, he was just an enigma. There was nobody else like him. There never will be. He was just an absolute phenomenon. He was just he was Forest. I mean, he was the club. When he went to the club, he ran it from top to bottom. It was quite remarkable. But just the effect he had on Nottingham, he was just. He felt almost like the grandfather of Nottingham at one point. He was, as he got a bit older, but he was so well regarded and revered, and what he achieved. And I think the game changed obviously when it moved to the Premier League, and obviously he had his own problems, health problems, and things like that. That sadly, I think contributed to how his management run ended. But yeah, he's just so well regarded at the club. I think he liked how we play now. He liked it on the floor. He didn't like long balls. I think he'd appreciate the style of football that we play. But yeah, I went when he was. I went to a lot of games when we were still playing really well, and went to the '91 Cup final that we were unlucky not to win really. But yeah, obviously then not long after it started to come off the rails a bit. But yeah, he's still he'll forever be the main man. The legend at Forest, just an unbelievable character, personality, charismatic, and everything. So he's a very, very interesting guy, even now, to read about and to watch documentaries about and things like that. For any football fan, I think.
I love some of the stories about Clough's time, and I believe was it Dean Saunders and the flowers.
Yeah, but apparently that was, I think, because they asked the other person who was supposedly there. I think that was embellished slightly, but he said I think they got like 50% true, which is, even if it's 50%, it is quite entertaining. But there are so many incredible stories about him. He just from the way I don't know if you've seen it. There's a really good documentary called "I Believe in Miracles." It's actually on Netflix that was put together about when we went on the European run and won it consecutive years. But so much stuff in that. It's just absolute gold. They never used to do any tactics or anything like that. It was just, you used to pick 4-4-2 and go out and play. You get the ball. You used to put the ball on the floor in the dressing room and say, "That's the ball." You pass it to him, and he just really keep it really, really simple. He used to just say to his defenders, "You're my centre half. You kick it and head it away from my goal." That was it. And obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but it's well worth the watch for any football fan. Just remarkable. And when you actually look at what he did, he took us from essentially where 14th in the Championship to what would now be the Premier League, and we won it. And then we won the equivalent of the Champions League 2 years on the trot, which is just, you're not going to get that happening again, are you? And it was a phenomenal story.
And I watched some highlights actually of the game that you played against Hamburg. It was 1-0, wasn't it? Was that the first or the second time?
That was the second time. So that was the one where Keegan was playing for Hamburg.
Yeah. And
I think two of our centre halves just went out and did a bit of a reputation for being a hard nuts, Kenny Burns and Larry Lloyd. And I think they got into him quite early, and I think the rest of the game he was in his own half, so nullified Keegan a bit. I don't think you'd be able to get away with some of the tackles now, but yeah, the style, we used to play some really nice football. We had a player called John Robertson who was just a magician. I think if he was playing now, he'd be. Or if he was playing for a Real Madrid or somebody like that at the time, he'd be, everybody would know who he was. And a lot of people obviously do know who he is. But he's just, I think the whole team talks really were for players, just give it to John Robertson. You can't play football, he can. That's what he used to say. So,
well, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And all the very, very best for the future with regards to your singing and music. I can't say all the very best for tomorrow night, though, at this point in time. But I'll say all the very best for the playoffs.
Yeah, and likewise. Thank you very, very much for talking to me. It's been a real pleasure having a chat. And maybe we'll have a chat after the game on Twitter or something, just to have a little bit of a debrief. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Not a problem at all, Matt.
Take care, mate.
And thank you, everybody, for joining me on this opposition preview show. Please do remember to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do here on the channel. Please do also check out our interviews. Any Nottingham Forest fans joining us, you probably like the interview that we did with Steve Cook. This was before he actually joined you. So it will be quite interesting watching ahead of the big game. Also, please do check out our other interviews as well. We've had Harry Efenakuku on, Luther Blizzett, and many, many more. Also, do remember we have had special guests on recently. We had Tez Ilyas, supporting Blackburn Rovers. We had Stefan Rodri, of course, Dave's coaches from Gavin and Stacey, supporting Swansea City, and many, many more as well. Until the next show, up the Cherries, and I'll see you in the Premier League.